Hello everyone and welcome to this live Austmine webinar. I'm Sheldon Varco, Membership Manager, New South Wales and South Australia here at Austmine, and I'm joined today by the team at HardHat who will explore improving productivity and collaboration in the METS sector. Now, HardHat will focus the session today on driving performance from your teams and your relationships with partners, including discussing the changing expectations and challenges around the new ways of working in distributed teams, how technology can enable METS and miners to increase productivity and drive efficiencies, and practical tools to automate real-time sharing of information and enhance productivity and collaboration. Over the session today, you will hear from Tim Smith, the founder and CEO of HardHat, Noor Cruikshanks, Director of Business Development, Christy Young, Advisor and Director, and David Sinclair, their Chief Revenue Officer. Following the presentation, there will be an opportunity for audience Q&A. You can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen to send your questions over at any time during the webinar. You can also upvote on the questions that you most want answered that other participants have asked. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Tim Smith, founder and CEO of HardHat, to kick things off for us. Welcome, Tim.
Thanks, Sheldon. Hello, everyone there. We're in Sydney and Perth and all over the place at the moment. We're having a lot of these Zoom sessions, but what we're going to do is we're going to go through, we can go to the next slide, Dave. We're going to go through and explain to you what our product's all about, and also talk you through some of the learning objectives as well, focused on the industry trends, how our product works from a productivity, collaboration and technology point of view, and also some use case real life examples as well. And then we're going to get Noor and Christy to have a good look at the insights and go into more detail about those insights. David also is going to show you the product in relation to productivity and collaboration, and show you some use case examples as well. Next slide, Dave. Good. This slide's talking about our relationship with Austmine and our relationship with all of you in the METS sector. We obviously have a very deep relationship with Austmine. We find that by having access to your members, Sheldon, we're able to build out a product that really meets the METS industry's needs. We take on board all those suggestions and we build out the product even further. We have a very well-defined roadmap where we're building features to meet your needs. And obviously Austmine members are helping do that. Our focus is purely on the resources industry in relation to our HardHat resources solution. And that obviously is mining services, METS, as well as oil and gas as well. We have a very experienced team with industry experts. Noor and Christy that are on this presentation have extensive experience in relation to the METS sector and mining, which obviously allows us to build out products to meet your exact needs. And we are Oz focused. You've probably heard our accents. You'll hear all of our accents are all Australian. I'm from Perth as well. Most of you are from Perth on this call, I've noticed. Yeah, obviously we're very, very focused on the Australian market. What we're going to do now is play a video. I think, Sheldon, if you just play the video for us, it'd be great.
Managing your workforce, projects and compliance in order to manage the work plan is hard and risky business. How much time are you actually spending supervising your team? Are you constantly piecing together information to monitor risks and manage assets? Connecting data scattered across multiple systems, spreadsheets, paper-based reports and email threads? There must be a simpler way. Welcome to HardHat, the platform that brings together information on compliance, people, processes and projects, all in one place. HardHat helps you manage your work plans by enabling access to the information you need in real time. With HardHat, a supervisor can monitor compliance, track assets, collaborate with the team, assess potential hazards and provide updates on all aspects of the works. Supervisors on site can use the HardHat mobile app to manage allocated tasks and complete activities assigned to them and their teams. And if an incident occurs, any team member using HardHat can instantly report the incident, submit photos and details via the HardHat mobile app. Details about the incident can be instantly accessed wherever you are. HardHat makes your work more manageable, giving you more control and time to focus on your team. Everyone can see the same information, collaborate instantly, notify management and impacted clients and stakeholders, make well-informed decisions and maximise compliance so that your operations can stay on track and your team can work safer, faster, smarter. Visit hardhat.com to learn more. HardHat, the hard made simple.
Just a recap on what you just saw there in terms of the video, and you can access that video any time by getting this recording, but also downloading it from our website or giving us a call, and we can actually provide that to you. Essentially, the video recaps. I'll just recap the video. It allows you to see all your information from various systems in one location. So across multiple systems, spreadsheets, paper-based reporting, all within the HardHat solution. It allows your supervisors to track assets, manage allocated tasks and compliance, collaborate with the team, assess potential hazards, provide updates on all aspects of the work plan in real time at their desk or on the mobile app that we've got. And everyone can collaborate instantly, notifying management and impacted clients and stakeholders. Make better informed decisions so that your operations can stay on track and your team can work safer, faster and smarter. Our product is designed to be simple and easy to use so that your entire company uses the solution and can contribute and can collaborate more effectively together. This slide here is just talking about some of the aspects of our solution. Our solution is quite large, but we're only really going to be concentrating on two aspects of the solution that you can see on this slide today, but there's various other features. So the items that we're not going to be talking about today are around client and stakeholder management. We have another webinar that we can do that we've already provided in relation to that we can provide you with access. And also, we're not going to be concentrating too heavily on health and safety. We'll show you aspects of it, but not everything. Today, we'll be focusing primarily on project collaboration and operational efficiency. And as you can see on this slide, there's lots to that. Project collaboration looks at centralizing project information in one place, allowing you to collaborate and create and share critical project information across your distributed teams, and being able to analyze and report on data that you've got housed within the HardHat solution. For example, project status and also measuring the success of your projects as well. In terms of operational efficiency and operational management, that allows you to track your assets, where they are, when they're due to be maintained. They might be across multiple sites. Operational planning, and that could be looking at your budgets versus forecasting, and also capturing and measuring the production outputs, for example, too. And also staff productivity, so being able to plan and schedule and manage your workforce's activities. So there's a lot to our product. We're going to be focusing on the first item there and the third item, but not item 2 and 4. Over to the next slide, Dave. Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to introduce you to Christy Young and Nor Cruikshanks. They're in our Perth office. I'm in Sydney, and obviously Dave's in Melbourne as well. But Christy is going to lead Nor is going to lead by going through some of his slides and talking about some of the insights that we've obtained from and also industry trends as well. And then he'll hand over to Christy. Thanks, Nor. Are you on mute, Nor?
That might be helpful. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. So in terms of industry trends and insights, if we look at the 3 key areas that we're focusing on today, improve health and safety, staff productivity and license to operate, we've gone through quite a tumultuous period over the last 12 to 18 months. Prior to the COVID, which everyone's more than familiar with, we had a range of other anomalies and events such as bushfires and impact on economics and politics. So overall, the last 12 to 18 months has been quite turbulent for most organisations. If we look at the specifically health and safety, the post-COVID-19 work environment is a significant impact on all organisations and society in general. We've certainly seen it here in Australia, and if you look at the news flow coming out of places like Europe and the States, it's been a significant impact over there as well, far worse than perhaps how we've managed it here in Australia. So the work environment in a post-COVID setting is going to change. It won't be the same as we've had previously. It's going to require a lot more rigorous checks and balances being put in place at the workplace, as well as when we travel to work and back from work. So it's here to stay, and there'll be a number of changes in that space. If we talk about safety culture across businesses and companies in general, COVID has certainly put the magnifying glass on health and safety across all parts of our society, including our home life. So there's certainly no escape from that moving forward. There's going to be a lot more demands in that space, and companies will need to adapt and ensure, and not only companies, but also society in general. So the progressive health and safety environment from a regulatory perspective will be more significant moving forward. So, you know, record keeping, for example, the apps that are currently coming out, we're going to see more of that getting embedded into organisations and how we operate in general. Talking about staff productivity, the big step change certainly in the mining space has been leveraging of technology and the impact that that's had on both OPEX and CAPEX. So when we start talking about digital platforms and tools for continuous improvement, for example, there is a lot of data capture through sensors now and data storage and analysis using AI and machine learning to try and derive better insights into how we operate and how to be more effective. So COVID and the cost of managing people remotely is a step change for most organisations as well. So distributed teams are now part of the landscape of most companies, whether it's in Australia or overseas. And I think that's a trend certainly based on popular media reporting that is going to continue on, because people prefer to be working not just in offices, but also from home, and the flexibility of that. Which leads us to the licence to operate. And this, it's certainly been on the main, in the background for most organisations, probably over the last 5 to 10 years. It's now gaining significant ascendancy, and for various reasons. Certainly that the COVID impact and the impact of how that particular health issue has resulted in fatalities, and how we continue to, I guess, function in organisations or at home. The impact is there to stay. If we talk about the other groups in terms of communities that we live in, so the Indigenous groups of the First Nations, there's certainly been a lot of airplay around some of the events that have occurred here in the West, for example, with mining companies and their treatment of First Peoples and agreements with First People. Collaboration with governments and sectoral associations. The Northern Australia Infrastructure Fund is a very good example where government is now investing in industry, and in order to gain any benefit from that initiative, you're going to need to be able to meet the requirements of those types of grants and investment requirements. So having your systems and processes aligned and up to date and effective is going to be a ticket to the game to some extent. Building investor confidence beyond financial. So this is a significant one, and I won't steal Christy's thunder because she's going to talk a little bit more about ESG, but certainly the whole carbon cycle and carbon footprint, the environment, and what's happening in terms of ethical investments and how companies operate is coming to the fore. So overall, the trends are significant, but they've been coming for a long time, and there's no surprises, I'm sure, in any of these. Next slide, thank you. So productivity and collaboration, it's everyone's business. What does that mean? Well, it really depends on the type of role that you occupy. So if we talk about executives and management, or site engineers, team members in general, or team leaders, everyone's got different needs and purposes. So depending on what your functional requirement is, or your specialisation, you're going to have different information needs. You're going to have different collaborative needs in terms of people that you need to deal with and communicate with on a day-by-day or week-by-week basis. So when we talk about productivity and collaboration, it tends to be very much persona-based, depending on what the function you're doing. So from a HardHat perspective, we've done a lot of work in the areas of identifying the needs of these personas. And a number of examples there. So if we talk about it at the executive level, automated reporting on health and safety, incident management, and operational information is pretty stock standard. Everyone has to do weekly reports, monthly reports. You have to do board reports. You have to do ASX reporting on a quarterly basis. So being able to collate that information and be able to utilise that in day-to-day management is certainly a very important function that executives and management engage in. If we go to team members, where you're at the coalface and you're engaging in activities, day in, day out, you want to have up-to-date data that you can tap into immediately in order to help and assist you in making the right decisions. And that's how you're going to improve maximum the benefit, I guess, in terms of productivity at the team member level. And then the other personas that we talk about are team leaders and site engineers. So the general, I guess, message to take away from this particular side and where HardHat is coming from and focusing on is that everyone has different needs, and the ability to cater and customise to your specific needs is one of the benefits that HardHat brings to the party, if you like. Next slide. So what do stakeholders want and need? If we're an employee, a positive working culture is mandatory. Inclusive leadership, safe environments, being respected and valued in the workplace and appreciated. Pretty stock standard. Is probably quite not too different from being at home, isn't it? Everybody wants those traits as well. If you're a shareholder, return on investment has always been the sort of the pinnacle in terms of what shareholders require. But now the focus has shifted. So you've got a lot more in the areas of health and safety, ESG and diversity that's coming into the decision-making for shareholders to invest. Companies, we want productive assets and employees. We've got to give people the tools and the environment where they can excel and be, maximise the productivity of our teams. Health and safety excellence, if one thing that's COVID taught us is that we need to have robust systems and processes in place and constant monitoring and measurement. So, these are the types of tools that are required moving forward in a new normal post-COVID. Profitable growth is always the holy grail of most companies. But I think, there's certainly now a trend towards a triple bottom line type approach to measuring what profitability means and what growth means. Improved communications is a given. When we talk about customers, high quality products, supply security. So COVID has certainly taught us that, global supply chains can be disrupted and can be disrupted at very short notice with significant impact. Availability of skilled people for companies has been a challenge, particularly with fly in, fly out workers, for example. Having a well-priced product and behaving ethically now is more at the fore of decision-making by customers. So it's a lot more broader than a straight-out numbers game today. Over to you, David. You're on mute, mate.
Thanks, Noah. I think Christy's going to pick up the next slide.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so thanks for that, Noah. So the purpose of Noah and I today is to give industry insights and a different perspective on things. But I think it's important to also define what productivity is. A lot of people use the word, but they don't really lock down on what it actually means. So in simple terms, it's a measure of the rate of output per unit of input. And interestingly, throughout COVID, a lot of companies have seen increased productivity. BHP recently released, or yesterday or this week, that their production rates have never been higher. Like they've had record iron ore out of WA during COVID. So I think, and really that's probably primarily due to an amended way of working with more flexible work and working from home and all that sort of thing. The industry now says you don't have to physically be there for all roles. The other thing to sort of hone in on or to define is collaboration. So obviously collaborating is a very good thing, like removing silos. Within organisations, that can be challenging. Having a platform that enables everything to be on the one the one place, in the one place is a handy thing to have. You've got collaboration within companies themselves, but also across different sectors, or sorry, across different companies within a sector. But it can be a double-edged sword in that way. But really, if you've got everything in the one place, because it's very, as we all know in mining, different groups don't always work the best together. The miners will dig it out and give it to the dudes in the plant, and they go, it's their problem now. I mean, that needs to change, that sort of behaviour. And over time, it likely will as things become more transparent. Dave, could you go to the next slide, please? So people, process, technology, nothing new there. You need all three things to be working in harmony in order to achieve good production rates and to collaborate effectively. You need your people to be feeling good about things, to be wanting to work hard for the company. You need the processes in place, and that they will change. Processes will change over time as things become more automated. Things will become less paper-based. They will become more, the technology will feed in more, but those three things are critical. And if you can't, I mean, maybe one day we'll remove people from sites, but people will still be required to direct the smarts. People will never disappear unless robots take over the earth. Processes will continue to improve and flex and tweak there, and the technology will only further support that. And it's really determining what technology to use in certain businesses. Just grabbing a cool widget and shoving it in. I know companies that have bought really expensive drones back when drones were very, very expensive, and they weren't really sure why they had it. They weren't really sure what they were going to do with it. So you have to make sure that if you're going to be using technology, that you actually know what you want to do with it, or are prepared to spend that money and see where it gets you to. But there's all different types of technology, as we know. David, next slide, please. So in terms of industry insights, there are lots of reports around. We've pulled a couple of stats or some info from a few of those. This is a recently released one from EY. Every year they release their top 10 business risks facing the mining industry. I worked at EY for 2 years, and they've got a very strong mining cohort, which most of the big four do. But in this case, we're looking at the top 10 risks that were released in 2021. License to operate is key for obvious reasons, as things are becoming more critical around the globe with where are you getting your items from. Even where companies are selling to, that's changing now in terms of the places that we sell our product to and where are they being processed, how are those people being treated. It's not just coming from purchasing the items, it's going the other way now too. And companies are looking at diversifying their customer base and making sure that they are selling to people that are doing the right thing. So that is changing. High impact risks obviously is something that will not go away. Risks are critical from a board perspective right down to, well, everyone. The risk registers are extremely important and critical, and that will not go away. It's just a case of what the flavour of the year is, I suppose, as to what the newer critical risks are. The H's that we've got on the left-hand side there are areas in which HardHat can assist with the platform itself. Obviously, geopolitics, capital agenda, that volatility, there are things outside the control of individuals anyway. Some companies may be able to influence those a little bit, but a lot of it is the macro. And you know, COVID's an example of that. No one can see that coming. You can't control those things. You can control other things. And so this is just a good sort of tool to use, I suppose, to see what is critical. This is one firm's opinion, but what is critical in the mix for mining in any given year. So HardHat can assist with the digital data workforce. Yeah, but next slide, please, David. So this is an interesting one. This is a report from PwC that looks at the top 50 miners under 5 billion market cap in Australia. And this, from the previous slide, social license to operate being the number 1 risk at the moment. And absolutely that is holding true. We saw 2016 only, well, 30% of companies in that mid cap under 5 billion had no reporting at all on ESG items, environmental social governance. Fast forward 3 years ahead of that, 14% didn't have anything. So that's changing, and investors are expecting a lot more from companies with regards to what they do in the ESG space. So that's the governance side, the environmental side, the social side, which is how you're treating your people, what's your diversity like. It's quite complex, but that's just a slide in there to highlight. I probably should have put the 2020 report details in there, but it's improving, and rightly so. Next slide, please, David. So this slide is really to say, right, we've got a lot of data floating around. A lot of companies do. What do you actually do with that? A lot of the big, I remember, and some of you may have heard me tell this story before, but back in 1993, when I was working as a mining engineer, so that's quite a while ago now, sitting on a hill at a Rio Tinto site with a notepad and pen, writing down truck cycle times, going back, putting them into the spreadsheet, that was data analytics. Now we have so much data, we don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to collect it. We don't know how to collate it. We don't know how to report on it. So it's a case of determining what we do with that and how do we do it in the most efficient way to increase productivity and improve collaboration and stop all this nonsense with data flying around. So that's just a bit of a snapshot or from a different perspective on some realities within the sector that we're seeing. All right, over to Tim and David.
Thanks, Christy. Thanks both Christy and Nor for the insight from the industry perspective. They're a key part of our team in how we understand what the industry requires. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste of what HardHat's capability is, focusing around productivity and collaboration. There's probably lots of opinions around of what does good look like for companies in the METS sector. Obviously, we have a fairly strong opinion, HardHat. You've seen the theme, both Tim, Nor and Christy talking about bringing it all together, connecting your whole business. And we think that's really critical in how you want to manage your projects, your on-site activities, your people, and really the success of your business. So to experience a connected business, you need to think about having a platform. And this is just another take on the summary Tim gave a little bit earlier around where HardHat fits. Now, obviously, we're in the centre part, we're talking today really around project collaboration and operations management, but really HardHat can sit in the centre of what you do. Out at the team side, there's lots of things that need to be done every day. There's supervision of your team. There's the work task and the plan. There's obviously compliance reporting and management, and there's the health and safety aspects. All those components leverage the platform and the different functional areas. But on the right-hand side, you've obviously got the people managing those teams, whether it be at the head office, whether it be at the site level, whether it be at the functional level. And that's where HardHat can start to bring together all that information. And it's not just information, it's actually activity as well. So I'm going to run through a few screenshots of just really a project view of what HardHat gives organizations. So if you look at a very small sample of what HardHat can provide, so this is really looking at your projects. In the METS industry, you have quite a few customers and many projects running. What HardHat can deliver is really a view of your project right from the bid process, all the way through to when you win a project, and actually the project when it's active. And what this view gives you, it gives different people in the organizations an ability to understand the standing and the status of the business and how you can collaborate around projects, whether they be pre or post projects. And it's around about giving project directors, certain functionality, senior management, a visibility around what's happening. Now, this is just a sample view. This whole process is very configurable in HardHat, and organizations may have quite a simplified view of how they initiate projects and bid for them, and also then work the project. So it's one of the benefits of HardHat is that it's a very configurable platform, but we have a large number of templates that we deliver within the solution to help you adopt this quickly. If we then drill down into a project view, so the previous slide was going through the process of seeing status of many projects. This would be really a project operations view. So a project is active that you're delivering to a client. Now, if we look down below where it says details, assets, people, this is where we can start to bring information together. So we can integrate to other systems. You can actually capture data within HardHat from the field to understand who's on which site, who's actually performing what functions. So this is all about giving you visibility. It's about collaborating around a project to guarantee what the second top line is. It's around project margin, it's around profitability, and it's around delivering what you need to the client. On the right-hand side, you see a reporting. Reporting is built into HardHat, and we can report on any data we capture, whether that's from third-party systems or people interacting with the application. This is just another example of a project view. Depending on the types of services you offer your client, you may be an organisation that offers a very asset-centric capability. So again, we can capture these sort of details, and it's not just about capturing a small piece of information about the asset. You can actually capture all the information around the asset. When was the last time it was inspected, when it's due for the next maintenance. But again, we're trying to create visibility across the organisation to give everyone a collaborative view of what is where, with which project, what the status is, even to the point what revenue we're generating out of each asset. Finally, it's important that projects can run for quite a long time. And within a project, it's always sort of a work in progress. You win the project, you start to deliver, and then always the customer is looking for, could you provide this? And that's part of the benefits of the industry it is at the moment. There's high growth. Many of the METS sector organisations are now growing their businesses through acquisition, through partnerships, and managing contracts around projects is very critical. So this is not trying to replace a concept of an ERP. It's really about visibility, about productivity and collaboration. So from HardHat, you can capture contract details. You can capture contract details against a project, but more importantly, you can now manage and report on all the contracts you have with an existing customer or an existing project or an existing type of work within HardHat almost instantly. Now, we've talked about project information. We're talking about capturing information, making it available to you on every day. But as Tim mentioned too, HardHat's not just a reporting capability. HardHat is an execution tool as well. So from HardHat, a supervisor, based on the information they're getting from what's happening in the field, can assign tasks through automated workflows, through scheduling, to people in the field. An ad hoc task might be required. So the people in the field would use our HardHat mobile application, and using our mobile application allows them to complete tasks that need to be done to guarantee output or guarantee a project completion or an invoicing opportunity. So it's not just about reporting, it's actually about execution and managing outputs and outcomes around your project. Finally, although we're not really going to talk about it today, we just wanted to give everyone a visibility more from the person in the field. The previous slide was around about a person, the site manager, the site supervisor, who's pushing out work via HardHat to a person in the field. This is around about the person in the field actively using the HardHat mobile app to maybe capture an incident. An incident may be a safety incident, it may be an operational incident, but the ability to have this instant communication between the application and the mobile user drives collaboration across the organisation. It drives productivity, and it really helps the METS organisation and the mining organisations to manage their operations more effectively, okay, to deliver the outputs they need to, and actually to deliver projects and drive revenue and profitability. So from a productivity and collaboration perspective, although we've spoken about only two small components of HardHat, what we're trying to say is we can bring this together. So in organisations that are looking to deliver for clients, you need to consider this whole 360 view. You have to be compliant. Compliance, that could be, are your contractors trained? Are they on site at the right time? Health and safety is critical because that's part of the culture of the industry. Project collaboration, we've mentioned about that, is collaborating across your organisation around what's happening in a project. Site and operations management is around executing tasks and managing the work plan. Obviously, we're not going to talk about this. We're happy to talk in another scenario. Client and stakeholder management is really a two-way view. It's you as an organization looking at your clients, the work you're doing, your profitability, and then how you communicate that with your clients. And if you are involved around a license to operate, communicating to different communities. And obviously asset management is a core part of that, is bringing the concept of asset into your thinking every day. And they may be your assets, they may be assets that you're providing by other contractors. The key takeaways around this and what we're trying to message in this session, it's around, productivity that has to be embedded to everything we do. So, reducing manual processes, stopping duplication of how you capture data, driving more efficiency and profitability across your organization. Collaboration means the information is in a central place. It doesn't need to be the source of truth. It needs to be a source of information that you can work with every day to improve your business and collaborate with the rest of your teams and your customers around delivering value. And the transparency is more around open engagement with your clients about where you are from a project perspective, but it can also extend down the value chain to your partners. You may be working with other contractors that are providing specific capability to you to deliver a project. HardHat can bring those organizations in as well. I'd like to hand over to Tim now to just give a bit of a summary.
Yeah, give a bit of a summary. Obviously with David going through and showing you the product, we had some phenomenal insights there from Christy and Nora as well. We've only really gone through a few aspects of our solution. What's really important for you to be aware of is that we have built our product on and create a platform. And essentially there's 4 parts of our product. There's the operational efficiency or operation management. There's project collaboration or project centricity by feeding in information from various other data sources. There's health and safety, so those field workers being able to use the product. And there's also CRM or client and stakeholder management. Those are the 4 functional areas of our solution. We haven't gone into too much detail into health and safety and also into the CRM or client and stakeholder management components, but we've certainly gone through and explained to you how we can obviously feed in data from various systems. We can help you with your digital transformation process and bring in data from, getting rid of those Excel spreadsheets that you've got. I went to an event last week, an Austmine-led event, CEO event in New South Wales and in Sydney, and we spoke about that. Pretty much everyone's going through this digital transformation process right now. There's thousands of spreadsheets that they're using. Obviously, our solution is designed to replace that, to bring the IP that you've got in those spreadsheets and the mundane processing into a solution that allows you to see it visually, but also see those as reports and as dashboards, those fancy dashboards. And if you have issues in relation to certain things that need to be addressed, spreadsheets can't help you. Ours can, in the form of notifications through our workflow engine, notifying you if there's issues in relation to productivity or people or assets or project information. So we allow you to do that. And the user themselves, you can control what dashboards and what reports you want scheduled at certain times and certain triggers. So we certainly can help with that. And as I said, we also help with bringing in data from various systems. For example, your ERP solution, your HR system. If you're already using an asset management solution, we can feed that through. Some of the drone information that Christy was talking about, we could feed that through as well. We can also capture that information also inside of our solution. So there's a lot to our product. We are trying to build a solution that's as simple and as easy to use as possible for your entire company, from field workers to supervisors to executives to corporate to marketing and BD, from sending out to your stakeholders from the CRM point of view. But as I said, there's a lot to our solution. We'd love to get into a bit more detail and show you how it all works. It obviously might, as you can see on the screen right now, it might be worth you having a look at our website. There's a lot to there. There's a lot of white papers we can give you as well. And you can schedule an appointment for us to come and show you this in more detail. I think what we're moving to now is we're moving to a series of questions. I think, Sheldon, you've got a series of questions that have just come through. And we're online for a while, so feel free to go and ask a few of those questions, Sheldon, from the audience.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for that, Tim, and great presentation there from the team. Just echoing your comments there around, we appreciate the relationship with HardHat as well, and the work and effort you're putting in to be responsive to our members' needs. And as you've said there, you know, the industry is really looking at these different collaboration methods. So having a system to configure it all on is extremely important, along with some of those key issues you've covered, like ESG and that transition in the COVID environment and how that's impacted teams and workforces are really important topics for our members at the moment. So that is much appreciated. I will now get to a few questions. If anyone else has some questions, you can still submit those at the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. I'll start with a question here from Marianne. I might come to you for this one, Christy, as you've addressed some of these challenges in your presentation. So has COVID led to increased digital expenditure due to remote work or decreased digital expenditure due to budgets being reined in?
That's a tricky one. I would say that would be on a case-by-case basis, depending on the company. I personally don't have great visibility on that. And it depends on, I mean, if a budget's set pre-COVID and then COVID happens, I mean, people change where they spend money. So that's a tricky one to say. With some of the companies that I do know, they've kind of haven't changed tact directly because of COVID with regards to technology spend, because their focus is elsewhere on keeping their people safe and healthy and keeping production going. So it's not really the right time to be bringing in something new or changing what you're doing. You just need to survive. So I'd probably say that's a pretty tricky one to answer.
Yeah, definitely. I think from an Austmine perspective, we've definitely been seeing some projects be impacted quite deeply. But from our network, those companies who tend to play in the digital space have been those that have performed quite well and I guess weathered the storm of COVID quite well. So
yeah, and just on that, Sheldon, too, you are right. Those that already had systems in place set up to work collaboratively did do a lot better.
Yeah.
Because that if they're used to that way of working but yeah, for some, I mean, the technology around Zoom and connecting that way, of course, that's been something that companies have put effort into. But in terms of like project technology within teams, that's a whole different story.
Yeah. If we also, I could probably answer that one as well. If we look at the METS sector in particular, there's this concept of active projects that you're working on. You're looking at, and there's also this concept of trying to win work. So this element of potential projects. So obviously there's a need to have our product also has a client and stakeholder management or CRM component to it as well, where you can monitor potential deals and existing deals. And those potential deals are important because obviously you want to try and win that work to then generate more revenue, to outstrip your competition, give more money back to your shareholders or your company if you're privately owned. So there is a need to spend money, particularly with CRM, in order to outdo your competition and get ahead. That's what I would add to that question as well.
Yes, excellent. Thanks a lot for that, Tim. And I might come back to Noor here with potentially with this next question. I'll try and fit in a couple more questions in the time that we do have. So do you think increasing staff productivity or the challenge of increasing staff productivity has been linked to this new COVID normal, or is it an industry-wide issue that was there pre-COVID?
Yeah, look, I think if anything, and this is certainly based on conversations and views developed over time, most recently in the last 12 months, COVID has been a catalyst to the changes that we're seeing. So they've accelerated what was already an underlying need within the industry. So when you look at what's happening with the lack of tier one type assets in the industry, the fact that you're drilling deeper and further in more remote areas, the pressures around compliance with water usage, carbon footprint, etc. The need for accelerating your productivity improvements were underlying there. The cost of capital has always been a pressure point as well with most organisations. So I think the COVID has acted as a catalyst in terms of accelerating a range of different productivity improvement type activities amongst organisations now.
Excellent. Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Noor, and definitely something we're perceiving from our end as well. We have just hit time, but I might get to one last question here. Maybe for you, David, you might be best with addressing this one. So a quick, sharp question. So is HardHat just a reporting tool?
Thanks, Sheldon. No, it's not. Reporting's a core part of the platform. But from a HardHat perspective, as Tim mentioned, we can integrate to other systems to bring data into that system. That in itself might be information that we exchange that is both a synchronous type of connectivity, but more importantly, HardHat is around about the users of HardHat interacting with the system. So I gave a very quick view of the ability of a supervisor to assign a task to an individual, and that task is then delivered out to their mobile device, and then basically they complete the task. They may need to have to access digital forms on their mobile device to capture information and input that information. The key benefit of that is, sure, there's a reporting aspect to that, but the individuals actually interacted with HardHat as a core system of operation. So really, reporting is critical. People live on spreadsheets. That's a form of reporting. But this is reporting. It can be around live data. It can be around data that is captured and uploaded every 24 hours. But it's really around HardHat helping to drive active productivity and collaboration across their organisation.
Excellent. Thanks for that, David. And yes, that living on spreadsheets was the topic covered at our lunch last week as well. So good pick up there. I'm afraid that is all the time we have for today, but if anyone does have further questions or if there's any questions that we haven't got to, feel free to follow up myself or the team here at HardHat. I'd like to give a big thank you to Tim, Noor, Christy and David for your time today and for those insights. Thank you to everyone who's attended in the audience. We will be in touch this afternoon with the recording and also the slides from the presentation. So please keep an eye out for that. So once again, thanks everyone for coming along, and I look forward to welcoming you to the next webinar. Stay safe. Bye.
Thanks, Sheldon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Good.